We're back. It's Ossie once again from Three Monkeys Solderless, home of the world's best cables for your pedal board. So you're going to want to check us out at threemonkeysolderless.com. We got DC, right? These little guys right here. Screw on. We have, as always, the 1/4 inch. Lowest profile in the business. Little C cutout, U channel cutout there. So you can sneak those pedals in there tight. You'll see that in a minute. And the RCA cable kit, right? So we got these gold plated, really beautiful RCA connectors. So for those of you that have component stereos, which are, you know, the best, turntables, amplifiers, preamps, equalizers, room equalizers, all kinds of things like that, you're going to want to use something like this with our cable, our high definition cable. And great for automotive too. So if you're wiring up a sound system from the front head unit to a, you know, a big ass thumping amp in the back trunk, this is what you want to use too. Double insulated so that you don't have any problems with like any of the noise that's commonly a problem with the AC signals running around in cars. So let's get back on it. We put this stuff aside. So last week we were going into the parallel effects possibilities of the first album recording process, right? We're not worried about live so much, but we're going to take some cues from live. We take cues from everywhere, but we're trying to figure out the right signal chain for these sounds, which is still, you know, a little bit of a paradox. So let's grab the pedal board. So this is the pedal board that we're using last week in the parallel effects sort of video, parallel chain. So if you haven't seen that, you're probably going to want to watch that video first so that you sort of know where we're at with all this stuff. But I'm going to give you a quick rundown of how the whole thing is set together. Let me grab a cable just so you can see something. Grab a couple of cables here just for demonstration purposes. So we have our guitar cable, right? So you're going to want to plug, you're going to plug normally into here. This is what your guitar would go into. And then you have the parallel chain. So right out of here bypasses the effects pedal board. And this you're going to want to plug in, or at least we plugged into the Marshmallow, I should say, the Marshmallow top input on the bright channel. And then for the bottom input, right, of the bright channel, we wanted to put in the affected, let me grab another cable. We wanted to use this for the affected. So coming out of the echo plexus, right here, this would go to the bottom input on the Marshmallow. And that way you could have 50% blend of these two sort of sounds. Your direct sound from your guitar, which is, you know, I feel always the best way to get a great sound, is to put as little of this crap between your instrument and the guitar as possible, and then run all this crap in parallel. Now I think that does solve some of the paradoxes or unique sort of things that are going on with Ed's sound, which would be the phaser is not obnoxious, the echoes aren't too echoey, if that's a word, right? And the flanger as well. So being able to do a 50% mix, you could also forego going into the bottom input and plug the effects into the normal channel, and then you'd have a variable amount of effects that you could blend the two together. Now that may make sense. That may make sense as in why this EQ pedal was in there. But I also have some other theories about the EQ pedal, which are pretty out there, but I think they're problems that you're definitely going to can occur when dealing with parallel signals. So we're going to look into that as well. And we're going to start experimenting and doing, you know, checking out different possibilities and see what happens. So I think two things that I wanted to do to modify this, or, you know, to experiment with, would be to change this pedal a little bit, right? So this here is a box that brings in the flanger, but it's momentary. I know some people have previously been confused by this, but what it means is this is on all the time, and when you touch this, it brings it in only when you have it pressed down. When you release, the flanger stops. So you don't have to hit it twice to get in there, to get in and out for, let's say, talking about love, you know. This, you just hold it down and then release it when you want it to go away. So I thought that was cool. I don't think Eddie had that. I bet he would have liked it, but I don't think he had it. So we go into this. We got the loop for the momentary loop for the flanger. Coming out, we're going into the MXR 6-band EQ, an old one that I put a bypass on. This was before I was thinking about putting it in another pedal board, but has the bypass on it, so we don't need to put anything on another box. Comes out of this pedal board, or excuse me, out of this equalizer, goes into the number 1 box. So now the number 1 box, like Eddie's box, I believe is a loop for the echo. All right, so this echo rec is taking place of the univox that's used for the dive bomb in eruption. So when you plug this, turn this on, the rim lights up, and it will allow the echo to go into the loop. And when you turn that off, the echo goes away. So like in some of the live videos, this is something that why I wanted to add this secondary switch to it. But let me just keep going with the board. So we got the echo rec loop box. Goes from the loop box into a phase 90, and then into one echoplex and then a second echoplex pedal. These are both set a little differently. This is a short slap and this is a slightly longer slap. Now, was Eddie using these in front of the second amp, like in the slaving situation? That's a possibility. Was it going into the front end of the amp? That we can't know in the studio. Live, I would say absolutely he was going probably from a master head load box, right? And then that load box was going down into some EQs and then into these echoplex units that were in parallel, running into 2 different amplifiers. So you could have a short slap and a long slap. So again, Eddie doing the whole, wet, guitar rig very early on. And that's what he always seemed to, go to, was either a wet or a wet, dry, wet, something like that. He liked and always liked that sort of an architecture for his rig. So that's my guess, is live, it was definitely a wet rig. Now for the studio, we don't know what rig was being used in there. The only picture that we have is that one where it has, it's from the control room and it's Eddie has his back turned to us. He's playing the Explorer. It's white colored at that point, and you see one slant cabinet with 2 mic booms on it. We can't see whether there's amps on the floor or how many of them there are. I don't know. We don't know how many cabinets there were. We don't know how many echo units there were. We don't know any of that stuff at this point for the live setup recording. So we just kind of got to theorize and then see what works for us and use our ears rather than our dogma always to come to the conclusions that we want to have that will get us closer to the sound. And as I've always said, at this point in time, there is no definitive way of doing this, and I would consider anybody's ideas as likely as mine. What I will say is I do what works for me, or what has worked for me. I think we're all a little different, and we hear things a little differently. We play things a little differently. Our guitars and amplifiers might sound a little different. So, what I set up here, unless you have the exact same setup, which is what I'm trying to, give over to people my recipe, you may not find this works perfectly for you. So if you don't, use the same type of guitar with a custom, an old custom in it, this kind of a pedal board, the Marshmallow, the 1 amp, the Ox Stomp, you're going to get slightly different results. So this is my recipe, so to speak. All right, so what I wanted to theorize about, first of all, for the echo unit is that when he does a guitar change live, where he is at the end of eruption and he hits the echo unit, the Univox, does the dive bomb and starts controlling the speed and bringing it down and up and down and up. So it was wow, 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 wow. And obviously it's being phased. So we know that the phaser is after the echo, right? Because you hear the wow, 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 which would not happen if the phase was in front of it. So we got the chain right. But what I noticed is that he's able to lean the guitar, which at that point we can see in a, I think it's 8mm film. He leans up the white and black Strat up against an amplifier and changes over to the Explorer. Now the Explorer, he's got the Explorer in his hand and the rig is still kind of oscillating with that dive bomb Univox active. And then he hits a button and it shuts off the echo and he goes right into You Really Got Me. So I've got that pretty good, right? So this brings it in and out. But what I wanted to add and try out was, see, Ed was very innovative. So maybe he considered it to be like a primitive loop pedal. Like a modern loop pedal would allow you to sort of maybe play over that in a sense, but maybe he hadn't gotten it to that point yet. So what I'm gonna try to do and try to theorize is to add another switch here, okay, that will just ground the input to the echo rec. So that way you can turn the echo unit on, get your signal, ground the input, and this will just keep regenerating. And then when you want it to go away, you can hit this. And anything that you do with the guitar no longer matters, right? Except for the fact that this one will still be on, right? So your direct sound will still be working, but all this echo stuff, excuse me, will not be going on, right? Or rather will be going on, but with no input. It's, you know, we'll have to sort of show it because explaining it is a little bit difficult and I often kind of, you know, mangle my ideas when I'm speaking them. So we're gonna do that. The other thing I wanted to experiment with, and this is more interesting to me than this. This is like kind of like maybe a fun thing to do, maybe not. I don't know. We'll find out. The other thing that is kind of interesting to me is the riddle of the 6-band. All right, so this thing, when you set it the way that Eddie had it set, and we were talking about this in the last video, if you have it set, you know, something like this, the way that Ed would have had it set, you sound like Randy Rhoads. You do not sound like Eddie. It sounds like a Cocteau, and that's not his sound at all, right? His sound is more scooped. It is not so mid-forward. So I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe in his system, this is crazy, okay? But let's just theorize for fun. Maybe in his system, somehow or another, this was out of phase with the signal that it was working with in parallel. So if that were the case, this could potentially actually be a scooped setting. So that's a little bit out there, right? But it kind of occurred to me a little while ago that might be the case. The other idea of the EQ, why it might make sense, is if it's in parallel again, which I think has more to do with phasing. If it's going through the normal channel, right, too, because you can add just a little bit of it, and the way the normal channel is voiced, this doesn't sound as bad as it does through the bright channel, but it's still not great. So we'll try that too, but I really want to try doing an out of phase thing. So maybe that's the first thing that we should do. Instead of, you know, messing with the box, maybe we do this first. Build something to flip phase. So we're not going to test this today, but we're gonna go through the construction of it, and then, you know, we're going to have another upstairs in the submarine studio with the Marshmallow and test it out. So let's start with let me just put this here. Let's start with building something to make phase flip. So I really haven't had a chance to like order really any parts or anything. So I was just kind of, you know, going through my parts bins and seeing what I had. Let me get a piece of paper here. Right, some instruments here. going through my parts bins and seeing, you know, what I had around. So I figured the easiest way for me, in my mind, to flip phase is with a transformer, right? You flip the secondaries and they're in, you know, they're out of phase with each other. Ground one secondary versus the other. Change the hot, change the ground. That could do it. So I was looking around for transformers in my parts bin, and I did find this, all right, which is a, I believe, I'm not sure because like a moron, I took the label off it, but I did do a little bit of measuring on it, and I do believe it's a Jensen 11P, all right, which is a 1-to-1 transformer. So I also looked up the wiring diagram for it, for the color coding for the primary and the secondary, and it matches. So I believe it should be a Jensen 11P. So that's a nice sounding transformer. So we can use this, getting a little pink drink, in combination with our friend, the double pole, double throw, right? Just a little toggle switch here. That'll be good for flipping the inputs and outputs. Now we can get a box, right? So I got this sort of box in my package of our box of boxes. Got a couple of input jacks, right, that we can use. We might even use, I think I have some Lumbergs here, so I might grab some of those. Yeah, I do. So I got this bag of what I like to call my Pedalbord build bag or stuff like that. So here we would have some Lumbergs. Do we really need to use one of these? So I think I have these set aside for another project. I think these will fit in here fine. So let's just use the switch graphs. We'll save the Lumbergs for where we really need them, because these are really nice because they're kind of low profile. Very small footprint, so they don't take up a lot of room inside the box. If we have to go to it, we'll go to it, but I don't think we do. So I guess what we'll do is we'll probably put the transformer in like that, and then we're gonna have a switch probably like here, and then we'll have our jacks. Should they go this way, or should they go this way? Let's look at the pedal board. Let's see if we mount this thing on here, right? Let's say we wanted to eventually mount this at the end. So we'd want in and out. And then okay, so that's how we want to do it. All right, so we're gonna do it this way. So this will be here, this side will be the input, this side will be the output, and then we'll put the jack on the, or the switch on the top for flipping the phase. Looks good. All right, so we could start laying out the places to drill. So I got my tape. So I like to use the tape to do all the marking for where to drill stuff. So I'll just put this one like here. Some scissors. There we go. And I'll just fold it over like a nice Christmas gift to myself. Same thing over here. So I don't know whose idea it was. I think it might have been, oh, you know what, I don't know. I shouldn't say anything. I think it might have been Buzzed. I'm not sure. Buzzed Soldering might have said that he liked watching the build videos more than me flapping my face upstairs so much. So, you know, I enjoy building stuff the most. So I think that sort of was a good reason to do something today like this. All right, so we're gonna say that that's there. So we're gonna put this one on this side. Let's say, okay. So they'll be on opposite sides of one another. So let's get ruler. And we can start marking up the... We probably want to bias them towards the top, so that way we can leave room for the switch in there. Although I'm sure we could figure out a place to put it. I think 6... Yeah, so let's do right around here. And I think we also, I got the computer open so I can answer some of the YouTube comments that have come in while we're doing this. So it's sort of like a build and talk video for this Sunday. So I hope that's okay. So I'm really interested to see what this is going to do, this little phase flipper. I think it could be really interesting to put an out of phase mid signal. I mean, even if it doesn't work exactly for what the purposes that we were thinking of, that's not in the right place, is it? For the pedal board, I still believe that this thing is going to have a use when it comes to, yeah, those are in the right place. It's going to have a great use when it comes to the ed thing, because I think, you know, mixing signals that are not exactly the same phase angle creates some interesting sounds. So now we're going to figure out where to put this guy so we don't butt it up against one of these little mold areas where they have the screws at. So we're probably going to want to put it, let's not go too much, somewhere around there, right? So let me get my square, and then we can measure that out from the side. Yeah. All right, so those would be the two places. Looks right to me. Okay, so we could drill that, and then we'll figure out where to put this guy in next, and then we'll stick this in the middle. Let's just make sure that there's plenty of room for this in there. Might have to, we might end up with a Lumberg in here, I don't know, we'll find out. No, I think we'll be fine. So let's start drilling. You get the drill. Now we'll get some bits. Alright, so we got our 3 bits. We got our smallest bit. Let me move this stuff out of the way. Smallest bit, 1/8 inch bit, unibit. So let's start drilling. This one's walking. There's got to be something stuck on it. Oh yeah, there we go. There's a little bit of melted. This thing is as dull as it gets. You get another bit. Oh yeah. I think that bit about had it. Alright, so let's get, yep, there we go. Yeah, that bit was pretty trashed. Throw in an 1/8. Okay. Now we'll put in the unibit. I wonder if this unibit's going to be alright to go through. We might have to use the short unibit. Hopefully that makes it. We're going to have to widen it out. Maybe we could use the burring tool. As the unibit bottoms out, he bottoms out on the other side of the casing before he gets to the 3/8 inch step. All right, let's get the deburring tool. So this is like a deburring tool. It has a little spinning knife edge on it, and you can use it like so. Hopefully that'll be good enough to ream it out to allow for this to go through. And it is. Okay. That works great. All right, so we have our two jacks placed. Their holes at least are mounted, or their mounting positions are placed. All right, now we're going to need to put in this jack to sort of locate where we're going to put the what we need a lock washer. Get my hardware out. Find the lock. Here's a bag of lock washers. You really need these guys to make good ground connections, in my opinion. Little toothed washers. All right. Now we can find out where we're going to put the put things. Just kind of mocking it up here. All right, so let's say looks like that maybe, or that. Let's see where the transformer, how it will go in. Like that. Like that. That's good. All right, so we need to mount the transformer in there. We're going to use this automotive 3M high tack tape, which is sort of like an auto body tape, and that stuff does not want to ever let go. So as far as I'm concerned, it's the good stuff. So can we put this under there? I think we're going to want to put this we can bend those in a little bit too and cheat that in. Yeah, I think the best place for it to go would be up there, right? As close as we could get it to the top. So I think if we drill it dead center, see if we can eyeball it. Yep. In line with that, we will be in business. So it looks like the hole we're going to want to drill is right there. Okay. I'm going to have to turn on this light now. I can see actually pretty good. That looks good right there. Kind of did a little spin out. That was kind of cool. Now we can drill through here. There we go. Now we can drill with the unibit. I think 5 is the right number, although 3 is the magic number. Yep, that's good. Okay, so we're ready in terms of our box being assembled or being ready for assembly. So that's good. Get the drill out of the way. Put away our bits. Now we can put the cap back on the pen. All right, so need a hit of the pink drink, and then we're going to do a quick diagram. As to how this is going to work, and we're going to make it a little bit big. So it's easier to see. So this is our case. All right. Now it looks like we have one jack here, one jack here, and then we have our double pull, double throw right here. You can see that, right? Okay, good. These are our poles. Okay. And then we'll have, for our jacks, our 2 connections. We'll make these the grounds. Okay, now the transformer, color code wise, you have a primary and a secondary. Now the secondary is on this side, the brown and the red. All right, so we're going to mount the transformer like here. You get a circle guy. There's our transformer. So we're going to have 2 other little circles, right, which are the primary and secondary outs. So we'll go up here. That'll be 1, 2. All right, and this one is going to be, let's make this one red, and the other is brown. BRN. Okay. And then we have on the primary side, we have, we'll just break them out. Let's say down here. So this will be a black, and this will be a white. Okay, and then we have, what is this? An orange and a yellow. So we'll go up that way and up that way. So this one here will be orange, and this one here will be yellow. All right, so according to the schematic, the black and the white are tied together, and then they're grounded. So in our box, since that's that side, we'll probably just ground them here. Right, we'll case ground it. That's good. And then we have the orange and the yellow. All right, so now the orange we can also ground, because that's be the primary's ground reference. Okay, and the yellow will be the hot. All right, so we can see that the hot goes to the yellow, and then really the black, white, and orange are just grounded out, right, to give us the ground reference on the transformer primary side. Secondary side, we're going to want to be able to choose between having the red or the brown as the hot, right, and the opposite being ground. So you're going to want to be able to flip those. So we have a double pull, double throw, and you know, you're just going to use like the typical old X pattern on the lugs there, and these are outs, right? So it's switched basically. These are the switching. It either goes to this connection or this connection, right? And this connection or this connection. So if you have them crossed over, what they're going to do is they're going to, when you flip it one way, they're going to connect this way. When you flip it the other way, they're going to connect this way. So it has the effect of changing which wires are connected to these two outputs, right? So we're going to put, just put the red on this side, and we'll put the brown on this side. And then we're going to take the output from here and go here, and the output from here to go to here. So now, as you can see, when you flip it one way, the red is hot and the brown is ground. You flip it the other way, and then the red is ground and the brown is hot. So that will give you your phase flip from our transformer. The other thing it wanted to see was a couple of ground reference resistors on the secondary to ground. Sort of it's sort of like a center tap, an artificial center tap, and I think they were like 4K, 5K, somewhere around 5K, right? So what we're going to want to do is from here, we want to take a resistor, right, and another resistor, and we'll make these 5K, and that'll create sort of like an artificial center tap between the red and the brown. I don't know if that's necessarily needed. It's in the Jensen. I think that may be too low impedance. You know, we're going to start without them. We're going to start without those. If we need to, we can always put them in. It's not a big deal. So now let's just start building. I'm going to get the soldering iron hot, get out the solder. All right, we're going to need some wire. So we have our wire over here. While we're waiting for the soldering iron to heat up, maybe we could do some questions or some stuff in the comment section on the YouTube. So I got the computer here, and we can look at these. So we had something from all right, related to an old pickup, a pickup comparison. Andrea Valino de Costa. I hope I pronounced that right, Andrea. It's just very small lettering. Super 70 is best. Is it not available anymore? The Super 70 is very cool. I'm glad that you commented on it. They are not. They are pickups from, you know, the 70s, basically, that Maxon or Ibanez, all those companies used. They were Alnico 8, just under 8K of resistance on the whines, humbucking. All right, so from last week's video, we have a few comments here. So we'll go through those. Andrew Bonthron, I'm dying to buy one of these Marshmallow, the 1 amps. I've been chasing the stone for 40 years. Please put me on the list and let me know how to contact you directly. Well, just you can contact me, Andrew, right at 3 Monkeys. So you would go to 3 Monkeys Solderless and just use the contact form to get in touch, and I'll get back to you. I'm making another run of the Marshmallow, the 1s. There's 10 of them, so I might be disappointing some people on this run, but I'm going to keep going until everybody's happy. But I have the power transformers arrived yesterday. The outputs and the chokes are going to be arriving next week. I have cabinets coming, not all of them yet, and then I'll just be building them each one at a time. All right, so I'm going to build each one at a time, and I'm going to do it in the list in order that I was contacted, by people over time through email, and I'm going to offer them the chance to get the amplifier that I'm building, and then I'll build that one to completion, test it, get it done, ship it out, and then I'll go on to the next, and so on and so on. So, if you're on the list, it's gonna be close coming now. So, a couple of months, and maybe 3 months or more, and they should all be out. All right. So there's another one for Andrew, right? DeGers, I'd like to buy a Marshmallow. How do I contact you? Same way. Just go to 3 Monkeys Solderless in the link below this video too, and there should be a contact form that goes to our system called Reamaze, and you can leave a note, and you can inquire there, and I'll get back to you for sure. Dan Tubeman, what's up, Dan? Do a line out in the back of the amp to slave amp with effects. That's what I think Eddie did. Well, actually, the amp does have the line out on it, right? The Marshmallow has the line out, so we can try putting some of the effects in the line out. I think we might, on the pedal board, break up the echoes and put them post amplifier. So we're going to try that. So we're going to try a few different permutations of how the effects go together and see which ones produce the best results for the setup that we got. So yes, Dan, we're definitely going to be doing that. Dan the Tube Man, you're doing Crom's work building those Marshmallows. Good sounding amps lead to good sounding music. I'm not sure who Crom is. You got to fill me in on who Crom is. I'll reply to all these too in writing. So, Dan, if you're listening, what's a Crom? It's probably really obvious, and I'm just thick. But thanks. Fowler, what do I need to do to get one of those Marshmallows? Well, Fowler, same thing. Contact me at 3 Monkeys Solderless through the Reamaze. Appreciate it. Craig Cornell, what's up, Craig? Sounds great. Thanks, Craig. This was for the Dolby trick, right? So there was another video theorizing the use of the Dolby noise reduction unit that was around in the 70s for helping with tape hiss. And a lot of the engineers found that if you use it was a compander, I think, if you just used the first stages and eliminated the second stages of the unit, it could add this really cool, pleasing brightness to everything, right? A crunchy Angora fur brightness. So we were working with a plugin, and I really like that plugin. Let's see. This was String 83, going back to that Mighty Mite 1300. Right, so I did a shootout between the new ones and vintage ones, because Mighty Mite is still making the 1800s. And a friend, Frank Falbo, was doing the design work for him, and I think he did a really good job. So if you're looking for like a clone of the 1800s, I think you can't go wrong. That being said, every pickup I've ever had sounds different than the next one, even if they're the same brand. So maybe I'm crazy. I'm sure I am. Let's see. Chris Stevens. There's also a touch of slapback echo to add on the main riff. It also appeared to be semitoner, so down-tuned. Going to get myself an anorak with VH logos. I don't know what an anorak is. You're gonna have to, Chris, you're gonna have to key me in on what an anorak is. I'm pretty thick about this stuff, so it's probably obvious. Yeah, I mean, that was just kind of a test for the Dolby trick, so the echoes are not really dialed in or anything like that. And yeah, I mean, I tune the guitar usually to whatever track I'm trying to do or last listening to is tuned to, because Eddie used a variety of different tunings. Because, you know, the guitar is an imperfect instrument across the entire length of the fretboard. And different chords are going to sound out differently, especially on the G and B strings. You know, those particular strings are a pain in the ass to get to sound in tune all over the fretboard. So you can tune it for things like, you know, Running with the Devil, which, you know, that sort of triad. If you have your guitar tuned perfectly by a strobe tuner to 440, strobed, or not even 440, but if you have it tuned perfectly relationship-wise from one string to the next, it sounds terrible. You have to flatten a string or two to get it to sound right. And I think, again, you know, we were dealing with tape machines. We were dealing with mixing processes. There's a good possibility that the speed of these tracks were not exactly on par to what they were recorded at. I've seen that done enough on many albums where the speed is, you know, slightly tweaked to give the sound either urgency or a little bit of a laid-back feel, or just, you know, maybe pick it up a little bit more up-tempo. It's done. So maybe, you know, that's why we're dealing with a lot of these songs. Not that from string to string the relationships are affected that way, but sometimes you'll find, like, even for the same given tuning on different songs, the whole tuning is different. That could also be the copy of the particular track that I was listening to. So yeah. Let's see, ER 555 AM7 2 weeks ago for the one versus the Jose. You hit that first chord playing the one, and man, I felt that. I'm nauseated that I just learned of these amps and you're not making them, or I am making them. I'll dry my tears and enjoy the clips. They're both great. Jose seems a little brasher, more like a Husqvarna chainsaw. I dig those though. Fuji apples for the win. Okay. Yeah, I'm still making them, and I'll be making them forever, as long as people want stuff. So you can contact me if you're interested. I think we have Jacques Lundgren TV was saying super fun. So thanks, man. Curtis Price 9806. Your mellow is tops, best Van Halen one ever. That's very kind. We have similar tastes. Jamie Gusky, what's up, Jamie? We only trust who you say you are because of your shirt. Yeah, I found that in the closet. Those were our work shirts for like amp shows, like from 15 years ago or so, you know, so that's cool. Let's see. So I think that's good. Let's get back on the work. How long have we been going here? We're going for like 45 minutes. All right. So let's let us begin again. We'll peel the tape. This shouldn't take more than 15, I'm guessing, to at least finish. And then you're going to be left with a cliffhanger, because we're not going to try it out on video today. We're going to do another video, obviously, of it through the Marshmallow, but today's not the day, because this is running on too long. This is some sticky tape. There we go. All right, let's load everything up. You know what, we should probably wire this thing up a little bit first. You have to turn on this light. I apologize, it might wash things out. Shield your eyes, everybody, here comes the light. Okay, it's not too bad. So I really need to be able to see what I'm doing here. So, we will use, let's just use white wire. we're going to wire up this here switch. Ah yes, smell of solder. I love it so. Actually, let's go from the inside out. Let me just screw this down so it doesn't move too much. That should work. So we're just doing the old X pattern here. So I've been thinking about building the Woody amp. Stop flying away. And saying that the Woody amp, I've been talking with a particular person about all this kind of stuff a lot, so they know who they are. And I wanted to make a dedicated sort of amplifier that would have been used as the second amp in the chain, right? The Marshmallow being the master amp, and that second amp being sort of one of the amplifiers that would be used for, you know, live performance, for making everything louder. So I was going to make it like the Woody, which is, you know, no Tolex on it. And I was going to have some different entrance points for the signal to come in. And then we were going to experiment with that, which I thought would be really interesting. So that may be something that will come fairly soon. I have a what do I have? Well, I have one of George's for Metro. I have one of his kits. Not a kit really, it's just a chassis and some panels for like a metal front with the rocker switches on it. That's just kind of hanging out here. I might put that together as the Woody. Or I might just go ahead and build a whole, you know, Woody from, you know, make it more like a 60s with the regular old toggle switches. So let's make one output. Well, let's say what colors are they? Brown and red. So let's make them blue and red. So we'll do blue. I probably should have put these in second, right before I finished doing all the soldering on the other side. I'm in danger of burning my wires. We got away with it. Give ourselves enough lead. We need to maybe do it from the same way. Not bad for old shaky hands. Alright, so there's the switch all ready to go. Alright, so we could just attach our wires directly to it. Gonna unscrew this from inside. Here we go. And now we'll put it in. We need a lock washer. That's good. There we go. Now let's put this guy on top too. Put it in upside down because it has that little guide on it, which we don't need. These ones are a little fussy sometimes to get screwed on. We get a nut driver. That looks good. We could just drive it home. Phase. Perfect. Okay. Now, let us get a piece of this here sticky tape. This stuff is ridiculous. It's actually so ridiculous it kind of pisses you off. It's difficult to work with. So we put it like that. Now we're gonna just get a little bit of alcohol just to clean off the surface here so it gets nice and sticky. Remove any greases. Smells like the doctor's office in here. Makes me sick. So we'll apply the super sticky 3M stuff in there. Now this is the part that drives me nuts sometimes. There we go. All right. So that's the secondary side. I should probably put in the jacks so we could just cheat it in. And she's a tight. Let me get a nut driver. We'll just temporarily fasten these sort of how we're going to have them. I think like that's probably good. Let's get the other one in. Now we're running awfully close to an hour. I don't think we're going to make it. This one might go into overtime. Too many comments probably answered for the allotted time. It'll be something like that. Maybe even like that. Let's try it like that. See if it'll go in. Now that's the secondary side over here, and this is the primary side. So we'll just kind of drop it down. Man, is that sticky. There we go. Now just press it. Yeah, you'd be lucky to get that thing out ever again. So for those who want to never have to, or who want stuff stuck together in a way that is bordering on the unholy, well, wasn't that special? I ran out of disk space on the camera, so I don't know where it was, where we got left off, but wired in this here secondary. All right, got the other jack wired in. Now we're just doing the primary side of the transformer, which are these three wires: the yellow, the black, or rather the orange, the black, and the white. So these three are going to be going together. So I'm going to just quickly tack them together. I love it when I run out of disk space. I should have checked. All right, so these are our grounds. So we'll kind of Put them there. There we go. And this is our hot lead. So let's clean it up a little bit. I think I probably lost maybe 2 minutes of video doing that. All right, so there we are. Not too bad for a boffin. I'd call this like a boffin job. This is something you might make while you're on the side of the stage and everything's gone to shit. What are we gonna do? I don't know. Make a phase flipper. Quick. We're gonna screw the case back on. And then we're going to call it a day. Let me get a screwdriver. It almost felt like that too, because it was like the time is flying by and I'm looking at the clock. On in 10 minutes. On in 20 minutes. Got to get it done. All right, so there it is. So, this is the input side, this is the output side, and these will be in phase and out of phase. And to complete it, as always, the Moto Teddy stamp of approval. Shut off the light. This is a thing of beauty. I'm really excited to try this, just in a variety of ways, to see what happens flipping the phase of an equalizer, going into the front of an amplifier in parallel, turning the whole thing upside down. Could be interesting. All right, so I think that's it for today. Next time we will give this one a shot and we'll see what kind of disaster we have created. So thanks for watching and we'll see you next time.